channel. This is my first booktube video, which I'm so nervous about because I just have a fear of being seen. And today has been a rough day and I just want to like round out my rough day. I'm house sitting right now, so I'm trying not to show too much of the family's home that I'm house sitting for. I've had this book on my to be read list, and it's been on my shelf. I bought like a whole bunch in August, and then I kind of went into a book slump because the semester started, and the only books that I was reading was software engineering or cybersecurity because I am a double major and in my senior year trying to survive. I'm super excited because I just heard so many good things about this book, and I feel like so many people, when I was at the hairdresser in August when I first bought this, the girl who was doing my hair was like, no, read the Throne of Glass series. It's way better than ACOTAR, A Court of Thorns and Roses, but you already know that if you're here. Anyway, so I just really wanted to get into the fiction space, and one of the fiction books that I read this year that really helped me get back into it is The Cloisters by Katie Hayes, and that's like her first debut book, and it was so good. So anyway, let's just get to reading. This is my first time reading it, and I don't know if there's going to be spoilers or not in this video. I feel like this book has been out for so long, so maybe it won't be spoiler free. Yeah, this is not a spoiler free video. I am a third of the way through this book, and it is now, what time is it? 11:23 p.m. Guys, I'm a third of the way through. I think I could do it in 24 hours, honestly, because I looked it up and it said the average reader takes 8 hours to read a book with this many pages, and I think I can do it. I think I could do it in less than 24 hours. I'm at a point now where Hamlin is hunting the bogue every day, and Fere, I feel like I'm saying it so Hispanically, like Fere. It's like Farah. But every time I like say it in my head, I feel like I say it hella Hispanic, like Fere. Like, all you Spanish girlies will get it, but if you don't, like, it's okay. But I know it's like Feyre, which also I feel is such a twist and a spin that this book starts with her hating the Fae, and then her name is Feyre, and also her sisters, which is so incredibly insane. I feel so deeply engulfed in this book. One, because I am the youngest child, and I feel such a similarity with Feyre, just super resonant with me and where I'm at in the book right now, where she feels this real guilt in her life, where she's having a lot of these beautiful, and not beautiful, but luxuries given to her that her family has never had or doesn't have, and she feels this shame and guilt knowing that they've lived differently, even if they are taken care of. And I feel also with Tamlin, there's like these, I don't want to say flaws in the writing, but almost sometimes for me it's a little hard to conceptualize, where he's such like a shapeshifter that I'm trying to conceptualize like what he's looking like in the moment, because a beast to me is like could be a beast, or what a beast could look like to somebody else. And Isaac, she didn't really explain Isaac that much, so I feel like it could just be any random scrawny looking guy. But outside of that, I'm just right now kind of intaking all of the senses and visuals, and it's just amazing. And so I'm gonna keep reading. Got halfway through the book last night. It is so good and so addicting. I plan on finishing it today because it's only 400 pages, so I know I can complete the other half. But I fell asleep thinking about this book, and now after I finish it today, like, I will read the Atlas 6 because I bought it in August and I need to read it and finish it. But like right now, I feel like this tinge of like love for Tamlin, and not love, but just like, okay, not love, but like care and compassion when you hear his story, even though he's like hundreds of years old. And then there's even one line that I don't have like my stuff with me to annotate the book, so I'll have to like go through and try to find it. But it's when the fairy that's from the summer court comes to Tamlin's manor, whatever, and like Tamlin brings him in, and like him and Lucien are trying to save him, and he's like, my wings, and it's just like this really, like, I don't know about you, but when I read, I am definitely a visual reader, and I imagine what things would look like in my head, and I just feel like I'm almost playing out like a movie in my own head. And so I'm just so in depth with this part of the story that happened a little while ago. But it's the fact that she like was there, Farah, I can't say it right, and she was like holding his hand, and then she has like, and then she tells Tamlin like when they go to the lake or whatever that she would want someone to do that for me, like she wouldn't want to die alone and she would want somebody to hold her hand and for a little bit longer afterwards. And I was just like, mentally, that part of the story was just so sad, but also such a beautiful moment I feel you share with these characters, even if it is a fictional story, and the humanness you feel from Tamlin and Lucien, especially when you hear about Lucien, and he had no plans of being a High Lord for the Autumn Court, and then finding out that his love was killed and he has this kind of shell and border around him. And then when they ride back after that, and Lucian giving Feyre the knife and being like, you know, take it, but don't stab me in the back, of like kind of seeing that wall get broken down. I'm gonna finish this book today, and then I'm gonna feel a little bit devastated, I feel like, once I move on to the Atlas 6. Who knows? Or maybe I'll just be so engulfed in the Atlas 6 that I will forget about Tamlin and Feyre and Lucian and this like beautiful friendship slash, I don't know, almost family feeling that you get from them. And yeah, I'll update you the more I get into the book, but for now I'm gonna go for a walk, get some sunlight. The sun has not been out in 2 days and it is finally out today. So I am gonna do that. I'm gonna get some sun and walk and enjoy the sunlight for a little bit, and then I'm gonna get back to reading. So hopefully you enjoyed this rant, and we'll be back with more updates soon. So I just finished the chapter where Tamlin and Feyre just made love. I am so fully invested in this whole story, and you know, like I said, they still hadn't had like a moment yet. Like they did kind of, right, when we talked earlier, and when she said she would want somebody to hold her hand in the end, and then they have this moment, the first like what feels so real moment of when he kisses her hand in the rose garden that his father gave to his mother, and kisses her hand and makes the cut go away from her pulling the thorn off. And then the summer solstice, like that whole chapter just made me feel this, honestly, like this overwhelming sense of like, why isn't the world magic? And why can't I live in a magic world where I'm madly in love with a fairy man? And it just questioned my entire existence and the entire existence of the earth because of how beautifully written that chapter was, and seeing Feyre get to have this really beautiful moment, and Tamlin and her have this really, really beautiful day together, and their kiss, and just the magic of the world. And like, I don't know, like as a human, then it just makes me think, especially as somebody and as a person who loves to be in nature, like, wow, you know, are there things that I can't see or feel or hear or smell because I am human? And it just makes me have this like small tinge of hope that there is like some magical world out there. And this book brings me to it, and now I'm sad because we meet Rizan now, and it ruins everything. And now Feyre has to leave, and I don't want her to leave. I don't want to leave. I don't want to leave this moment. And they make love, and that's where I'm at. And I'm just I feel like my emotions are just so swayed of this feeling of love and grief and joy and beauty, but also that there's this darkness that's always looming around these moments. And then to see Farah finally get this life that she deserved and could have never imagined, and it was better to just be ripped away from it and like sent back to her previous world where nothing will be the same. And that like I feel like I won't be the same after this book. The love and passion these two people have for each other just makes me question my whole life. We've got about 15 chapters left, and it's just one of those books where I probably will find myself rereading this book because I need to read the next one, but this story is just so close to home to me, for me putting myself in the shoes of Farah, that it just feels cozy to me, even if there is no magic fairy involved in my life who, you know, whisks me away or something like that. It's just her strength and her ability to keep pushing forward and have this warrior energy within her. It just resonates so deeply with me despite everything she's been through, and I really, really love that about her. So I have to try and hold myself awake tonight to finish reading this book, but I know I will, because I'm at a point right now where I personally am madly in love with Tamlin. Like, I have a personal confliction of the fact that this is a fake character, but I'm madly in love. Madly in love. Wildly, madly, I love this man. And so I already started going down a rabbit hole, because like when I picture them and who would be their characters for a movie, instantly when I think of Tamlin, I think of Henry Cavill in The Witcher. Like, it just fits so perfectly the way he's described in the book. And I'm still stuck on Lucian, maybe I've been saying it wrong. And same thing with Farah. Like, I am trying to think of like some skinny brown-haired girl, like young girls, but like it definitely has to be like a younger girl, and I don't really know much of like the young actresses right now who are like in their teens that would really fit that role perfectly, or maybe even girls in their 20s that still are looking like in their teens. I feel like maybe I would choose somebody who was on like the line of where like Kristen Stewart played Bella, enough to look 16 and like that scrawny figure, but then also to put on weight afterwards, which she doesn't do throughout the series, of course not, but you see that in the book, is that she goes from like really skinny to this fulfilled woman. And so maybe somebody in her 20s. I'll have to just tell me in the comments what you think, because I'm having a really hard time placing somebody for Lucian and for Farah, and I'm gonna finish the book tonight. I am determined to finish it. I am on page 346, pretty much one page after chapter 39, so I only have technically 7 more chapters to go, and I can barely hold my eyes open. I'm at the part right now where Farah is being taken out of her cell, and she's like already done the deal with Rhysand to fix her arm and have to like spend every week of the rest of her life with him once a month, and I don't know what to make of him. Like, I feel like he's like Amarantha, where he just likes to play these like fuck games, and he's really just trying to like fuck with Tamlin. He's playing like these games and he's trying to mess with Tamlin, and it's just, I don't know, such a weird game that he's playing right now. And I'm not sure if he's doing it because he also like wants things to change, or if maybe like he wants to take over Amarantha's power. Like, it's just such a weird situation. And I feel like because it's been so many centuries that they've had like interactions with humans, like that's why he is just doing all this stuff to like mess with her in her head, knowing that she doesn't know anything about fairies. So it's so hard to put down, but I'm also barely keeping my eyes open at this point. And also the fact that like in Nesta, let's just go back a few chapters here or so, and like the fact that like Nesta actually did go looking for her and not her dad. And, like, I was really feeling some type of way about Nesta, and now I'm like, okay, she at least looked for her because the glamour didn't work on her and she like couldn't get through the wall, so like at least she tried, and she tried to find her, but of course she didn't. And I feel like I really love that she said to Farah to not come back, like to just go and not come back, because she wasn't gonna come back either. So I don't know what's gonna happen. Like, maybe Farah could die at the end of this, and then like her sister comes, and then some storyline happens with her sister. I mean, I feel like they wouldn't kill the main character off. I don't know. You never know how these things go, but I'm gonna go to sleep now because it's 2 a.m. And I will hands down say this is the best book I read this year, and I now see why it constantly gets recommended as a book to read. It was absolutely incredible. I didn't read the ending to see like the sneak peek of the next book because I'm debating on whether I should go to the bookstore tomorrow and like go buy it or put it on my Kindle. Tears had filled my eyes when I got to the part where like I felt emotional when she had to kill Lucian, but then there was like a part of me that there was like, well, he's like a fae, like he can't die, and he's the high fae, like he can't die, like the other fairies will like bring him back to life. It was when Amarantha started killing Feyre, and like the way she was like describing her, like slowly killing her and like kept waking her up, and her saying like this was worth it, like not this was worth it, but that she had saved both the immortal realm and the mortal realm from Amarantha, or at least she had hoped she did. But then the little like twist of her words until she finally solved the riddle to like break the curse, and oh my god, the trials had me going. Like the whole thing with the worm was intense, and then the second one I was like, oh my god, I said Lucian and I meant to say Tamlin. I just realized that I said Lucian, but I meant to say Tamlin, that she had to kill Tamlin. now that I'm talking about the second trial, because for sure, because she didn't know how to read, I thought Lucien was gonna die. And I was like, wow, I've actually grown to really like Lucien, even though he was a fucking asshole. And then in the end, when she goes out and finally sees like the daylight and she's talking to Rhysand, and like with the whole deal that she made so that she wouldn't die, I feel like I really had this hard hatred for Rhysand until like the final moments of when he like came back into her cell after her and Tamlin had like gone off in the room on the night before her third trial and like almost fucked everything up or messed everything up, and him explaining that like his family killed Tamlin's father and brothers, and that like he pretty much had become her slave, her sex slave essentially, and kind of seeing like how he was playing a game the whole time as well, and just kind of seeing him in this different light in the end. And I almost like, I feel like when she saw Rhysand also trying to save her, like she felt a love for like all the fae and all the fairies, and I felt that love inside of her. And so I feel like emotionally I will never be the same after this book. So if you have read this book, please in the comments let me know how you felt after reading it, especially the last couple of pages where you get to see like her and Tamlin like finally make love again after the whole thing, everything. Amarantha is dead, and then they like get atop of the hill to go back to the spring court, and like the way that she describes the spring court and Alice and her boys like running, and then she's like, let's go home, and it just it like struck a chord, because it's just like she finally gets to have that home, even though she left her sisters in the mortal realm. And now I need to know. I need to know in the second book what's gonna happen. So for sure I'll be getting the second book tomorrow, and I'll probably be documenting me reading those books as well. So yeah, let me know what you thought in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video.